live on YouTube here. Greetings. We are back. This is the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. We are coming to you live from San Francisco, and I'm with my lovely and talented co-host and wife, Melissa Wagner. Hi, honey.
Hi.
I'd ask you how you are, but I know I've already asked since I got home. We're good.
Good job.
Hope you're doing good. We're a day late on this one. We're usually going to do this on Wednesday night after Expanse. I know that's pushing it because you're late at work. We decided to do
I will
Legion.
try to be awake for Wednesday night. We'll see.
Yeah. We decided to do Legion last night, and we won't be doing any more Legion after that problematic second episode, which was very hard to talk about. But this is a show that's
because you had to talk about what you didn't know what you're going to talk about.
I had no idea what I was talking about. It was a podcast of, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
So it was speculation.
End of podcast.
Speculation by Dennis and Gary.
Yes, it was. Poor speculation at that point. So this is an easy show to talk about, and this is my latest obsession. And you know, I've had quite a few in my lives, but my lives.
Yes, your lives.
Yeah, my lives.
I wasn't
whatever.
even questioning that
As
word.
a cockroach previously, I was very obsessed with certain things. So Expanse is kind of Game of Thrones in space. I'm diving into the books. The author's pen name is James S.A. Corey, who's actually Daniel Abrams, who is a protege of George R.R. Martin. So they write very similarly, but when you read James S.A. Corey, you realize how harsh George R.R. Martin is. He doesn't like his characters. He doesn't like you as a reader. This guy's a lot nicer and kinder, but there's still cool little similar twists and turns. And that's what we love about the show. So we're going to talk about the fourth episode, which is called Godspeed. And tell us where we pick up the action.
Well, we open with Christiana. Christiana is having a talk with her spy, and they have tracked down the Protogen Corp, and they know that it belongs to Mao. And so they're on to Mao, and she wants to bring this project out into the open so that it's no longer a secret, so that way he can't be hiding it anymore.
No, and Mao is Julie Mao's father from season 1, who was the girl, Detective Miller, and later the crew of the Rocinante. You know, I've read the books, and I still Rocinante. Go after and eventually find dead, or is she? We've seen that Miller is seeing visions of her kind of just nodding in approval as he does certain things. So that's kind of a tell of what's going on and what is to come.
Oh, really? I thought that was just him being nuts.
At first we think it's him being nuts, and then we think it might be another character in the future being nuts. But there's actually something to the Protomolecule.
Now, is this something that you're getting from the books?
Or no, this is something I'm getting from the show. Okay. I'm going to separate all. I'm going to separate all book theorizing completely. I will not mention that at all, other than I've read the books and I kind of know what's going to happen. Uh-oh, we're having a problem with Facebook Live here. So I might have to.
So then,
hang on, we might have to take a time out here as we're going on.
Why?
Because it looks like, I don't know if we're on anymore. Stacy's watching. Well, we'll keep going. It says live, so
it does say live.
We're going to keep going. Sorry, we had a little glitch in the matrix there.
So the next chapter of this is that Miller sits down with the OPA engineer, the guy who's been working on the station where they're building the giant ship for the Mormons.
Fred Johnson.
Right. And he talks him into using the Mormon ship to take out Eros. Eros is unguarded, and it's infected with the crystalline entity, right?
Yeah, the protomolecule.
The protomolecule. So it's infected. So he figures this thing needs to be dusted, or at the very least, it needs to be sealed up so that it can't contaminate anybody else, and they can't spread it around or sample it, or the doctors and scientists can't use it. So he wants to take it out. So that's where that engineer comes in.
Yeah. So Miller has kind of pissed off Holden, who is the captain of the Rocinante, and the crew by killing Dresden, who was the doctor in the previous episode, who pretty much was the only one who kind of knows what's going on and is part of this program, heading, and we know it's Mao's company behind it, and they're trying to, we believe, weaponize it, or just trying to figure it out to save humanity. And the way Dresden saw it, yeah, we set up some sacrificial lambs, 100,000 of them, which are on Eros, and purposely tested it on them to see just what the molecule will do. And you can see, and it's pretty obvious that it's trying to, it consumes and studies everything. And they believe it was sent by who knows where to extinguish life on Earth. Just a quick background on the protomolecule. It was a moon of Saturn, which they mistaken for a moon, but it was actually a delivery system for the protomolecule that was aimed at Earth. They kind of brushed across that in the first season. So Miller has been on kind of a spiritual vision quest of some sort, and I think he had a good reason to kill Dresden, but it was still pretty stupid and half-cocked. But I don't know if he's either trying to get back into their good graces or he is truly on a mission. And Miller is the best thing in the show. Tom Jane is
he really is the best thing on the show,
yeah,
for sure. So they need the Rocinante. So they bring Holden into this meeting and they bring him in and talk to him about the plan because they need his gunship to help deliver the demolition team.
Yes, and the demolition team is there to blow up the docks on Eros so nobody else can land there, because their big idea is to take the big Mormon temple spaceship and ram it into Eros and shoot it towards the sun. And there's still enough ships that could actually catch up with it en route to the sun, and they could dock and take pieces. All it takes is
the bombs. What they're going to do is they're going to pinpoint all the docks to seal this up.
Yep.
So nobody can get in there while it's en route towards the sun.
And remember, it takes only one molecule of the protomolecule to get out to start spreading again. So that's how deadly this thing is, and it's kind of a cool bad guy, the virus bad guy, whatever the hell it is. In the meantime, we've got like Earth and Mars about to go to war. We've got the outer planets, which are all the asteroid mining companies and outer planets. The OPA are all about to go to war with each other, and the OPA is about to separate. And all this is going on with this big apocalyptic thing coming that not everybody knows about. The only people who truly know about it are Fred Johnson, Miller, and the crew of the Rocinante. Not even Christina Avicella. I can't say her last name. Christiana. We'll just say Christiana, who's the second best thing in this show.
She really is.
She is so good.
Her hair, her outfits, her whiskey voice.
Yeah.
I'm really liking this character. So what she does is she has a sit down with Mao and Aaron Wright, who's the deputy secretary. And Mao actually comes into this meeting voluntarily because he's hoping to clear himself of any suspicion of wrongdoing that has to do with this Protogen Corp that's under the umbrella of everything that he owns, which is a lot. So he comes in and sort of downplays any involvement that he would like to have, and sort of clear the air there. But Christiana is playing with him the whole time. She is clearly onto how guilty he really is. And I think it becomes fairly obvious that she also knows that the secretary or the assistant secretary and him are in cahoots.
Oh, totally. And she's the sharpest one in the room. And it's funny because even in the future, she's still probably underestimated as she says in the book, sorry to bring it up, as like, I'm just a little dear grandmother, who doesn't know anything of the world, and she's freaking deadly. And one of the nods to Game of Thrones is she's always referring to the game and how the game is played.
Well, she does seem to like get the whole picture, because remember, even when she was in the audience and her friend had made the phone calls, remember that when she brought in the friend, she questioned him, she sort of planted some stuff, and she let it be known that she had her hands on some Martian intelligence.
Yep.
So the first thing that he did is he went around and started making all these phone calls, and they tracked the phone calls. And when in the big meeting, they go, he made this phone call, this phone call, this phone call. She looked at it and was like, inventory, like he's taking inventory. So she is like that chess player that like sees that one step ahead of what's going to happen. So they're kind of setting her up to be very cognizant of how these pieces are moving.
Yeah, and she's still ruthless enough to sacrifice. Like, she's not some sweet little lady. She'll sacrifice. No, she is a grandma who will sacrifice a lot of pawns in the game, even sending them to their death for the quote unquote greater good. And then we got to jump back to Miller and kind of his relationship with the crew of the Rocinante. He was kind of given his walking papers last episode. They cleared his stuff out, and that's when he, came up with this big idea of ramming the spaceship, into Eros. And it was kind of funny how Fred Johnson was just kind of, yep, that's what we got to do. He didn't even like fight it. And Fred Johnson is the leader of the OPA, but he's also the head, the foreman of this giant construction project, and he's about to screw over, a couple million Mormons. But I guess nobody. They've
been paying for this giant project. So the Nauvoo that they've been the ship that they've been building has been being built for years.
Right, and it still had some years to go. But it turns into this giant battering ram. Now, Miller. Miller and this group go out to put the charges on all the docks, and he's with this kid who has miraculously survived for a season and a half. He's survived his uncle throwing him in the middle of space with a transponder. He's
like James Holden. They've got the secret touch.
Yeah, he does. He does, and they go out to do the put the detonators in. There's always this it's a miracle in all TV shows. In any nuclear device, there is like a little connection that you can stick a detonator in. Just like you don't have to wire anything. It's just like place detonator in here, if you need, just in case you need to blow some shit up.
A goes into B.
Yeah,
A goes into B. But you're jumping ahead.
Okay,
just one, two little things. When we have the meeting with Mao goes back and he has a call with Aaron.
Aaron Wright.
And he's really mad that his project has been compromised because Aaron Wright doesn't seem to have a handle on Christiana and all of that situation like he should have done. He should never have let her get that close. But I think that, again, sweet little grandma, she was underestimated even by the people that she works the most closely with. So in the meantime, the Rocinante goes up towards Eros. It drops off the demolition crew, and they're making sure that there isn't anybody else in the vicinity, and making the rounds on Eros, they find a strange ship that is docked there. And when they question it, they find out that maybe it's scientists, maybe it's doctors, missionaries, journalists, maybe a little bit of everybody on this crew that wanted to know what was going on in Eros and wanted to study it and wanted to get the word out.
Yeah, and they find it is...
Miller finds.
Yeah, Miller finds... Well, he notices a hatch door kind of open when he's placing some of the charges, and he goes over to investigate, sets the kid on, cracks open the door and finds, somebody who tried to get in the airlock, and they have some of the protomolecule on them. And it turns out to be medics from this ship with French accents. Of course, the medics have French accents. And they are there on a humanitarian mission. And it looks genuine. So they say. And, Holden catches on and just warns him, and Amos, I think, was for blowing him out of the sky right there, and I think Miller in that aspect would have done it too. But Holden's a different beast. He's the Jon Snow of this show, and he just begs him to leave or he will shoot him down. And they agree to leave, and they're about to take off, and that's when Miller finds the body, and Holden's all, hey, you lied to me. And if like one piece of this molecule gets out, and he's trying to, cover the medics think he's a Martian ship, because the Rocinantes,
because they're in a Martian ship.
Yeah. So he thinks they're Martians, and Holden's kind of holding it close to the vest. He's not saying he's OPA. He's not saying why he's there, and he finally has to let some of it go, because one of their workers got in, and they, well,
he's just really worried that they're contaminated and they're going to get away. So he basically says, okay, I told you to leave, but now I'm saying, now that I've discovered that you've lied, you can't leave until we do an inspection. Basically, he wants to give him a little pat down and make sure that nobody is contaminated, or at least quarantine them until he can figure out whether they've been contaminated or not. But they continue on their route, and Holden waits until the very last second, but he does launch the missile that eliminates them and blows them up.
Yeah. And here's one little thing that happened during that whole exchange when he's talking to the medics and trying to plead with them without showing all of his cards, and this is it was a good case of idealism, and his crew had it, and these doctors had it. We have to do the right thing and let everybody know without seeing the whole big picture. This is the apocalypse on an asteroid that's going to kill everybody. And even his crew's when he talked about taking prisoners, Naomi is are we taking prisoners now? And this is the kind of thing, you're in space fighting the apocalypse. Yes, you're taking prisoners. I mean, that's being nice, taking prisoners. I would have blown the shit out of the sky. Sorry. But bigger picture here. That's some of the exchanges in this are, a little, idealistic.
Well, I think that remember when they left Eros in the first place, when they left the planet where they had that handful of people that they were able to save when they snuck off. Remember they felt really bad that they didn't have more people, even though they weren't able to rescue more people off of there because so many people were sick and so many people were suffering. But honestly, they barely made it out of there by the skin of their teeth.
But they're still haunted by it, especially Alex, the pilot. He was particularly haunted by it. One of my favorite characters.
I mean, when it starts becoming an easy decision to just blow people up, I mean, then you're Amos.
Yep. Then you're Amos or Miller. Miller's even faster in a trigger than Amos is.
Well,
but that's why we like him.
Yeah.
That's why we like him. Wonderful Tom Jane. So they they take off and they blow him out of the sky. And Miller has his Superman Man of Steel moment after he kills Zod. Just has a little freak out. But that's when they got all the crews coming in. That's when they find out Miller has a little bit of a problem. Well, from shooting that
ship that was run by the Frenchmen, there's a bunch of debris that goes flying, and they give him a heads up. There's a bunch of debris coming your way, heads up, find some shelter. They put their head down, but they do get hit by some of the debris, and one of the bombs gets disconnected or smashed but basically he's got a grenade and he's got his thumb on it. So that's his big missile now. It's basically a grenade, and he's just got to push the button in to keep it from counting down because it's about to go off.
Weren't you thinking where in the hell is some duct tape when you need it?
No,
some duct tape would have been, because all they have to do is put pressure.
Get out of this one, and and Naomi's right. I mean, when she finds out that he's got this bomb and he can't take his finger off of it and he has to sit there and babysit it. So he sends the kid back to the ship. He's got this bomb. He's got to basically just sit there and go down with it, taking out the docks that need to be taken out. And she could have overridden it, but there wasn't time because the Naboo is incoming at this point. So there isn't time to do that. So we're counting down again, just like the countdown right before he blows up the ship. Now it's the countdown of how much time does Miller really have left, and it's not very much. So he's just going to sit there and babysit this big bomb
until the Naboo comes down, and and it's coming right for him too.
Right. So you really think this is it. This is all that we're going to have left of Miller. It's but this is Miller. This is the Thomas Jane character. He can't be done, right?
But it looks like it. And then you got to remember, this is a protege of George R. R. Martin. who likes to kill people we love.
Right,
but his name isn't Stark.
We don't.
He's not like he's Stark.
We don't have a sorceress. Nobody's gonna be bringing him back to life.
There's no bringing people back to life. Yeah, there's no Red Woman yet. There's no Red Woman yet in the Expanse. So, can I mention real quick, like the cool details they think about in this show? And just I'll just bring up one of them is the debris field. Like after you blow up a ship, and it could go any direction, but making that an actual problem because that's an actual thing. When these things explode into space, when something explodes in space, it keeps going the same speed and it goes faster. There's nothing stopping it. So it just starts flying. So they become like a bunch of little bullets. And I think it's a cool little detail. There's a lot of exploding in Star Wars. You never see any kind of a debris field go through the Millennium Falcon or anything. They were right next to the goddamn Death Star blowing up, but there was no debris coming off of that thing. They should all be dead. Well, I mean, none that hit anybody, but maybe it was
That's why we call it science fiction.
Science fiction.
So, in a very surprising twist, a literal twist.
It was a literal
twist. All of a sudden, you see the Naboo.
I'm drinking again. Sorry.
The Naboo, aim itself away from Miller, and you're like, what just happened there? How did the Naboo get rerouted? But when they're looking at from the Rocinante onto the screen, you see the Naboo's been on course. What happens is Eros moves. And the whole time Miller's hearing little voices and you can hear it say, get away.
Oh, you can hear that?
You can hear it.
No way.
Yeah.
See, I got to watch it again now.
Yeah, because it's very soft and it's in all that staticky little voices that you hear. And so Eros actually moves. And it misses him. Yeah,
and the weird thing about Eros moving, it's an asteroid. It's not a spaceship. It doesn't have
space station.
It's a space station, and it might have some sort of propulsion, but I didn't see any. So how in the F did they move it out? And that's what they said. They go, how in the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
So that was a cool little twist. So Miller still has the GD bomb set in there. I mean, and it goes off in 60 seconds. Is that enough time to just toss it?
Right.
But isn't that thing nuclear?
Now he has his finger on it. So remember, they prefaced that whole thing right there. I know Naomi saying that she could override it. Oh, the only reason she didn't override it in the first place is because there wasn't time to do that.
Yeah, give her some hearts. There you go. That's good. That's good, John. Give her some hearts.
So from our podcasting crew, we have an interesting question. So what do we think looks better, Battlestar Galactica or Expanse?
I'm going to say Expanse.
Expanse is looking pretty tight.
As far as like looks better. See, I was thinking fashion, You know what she's done to me? I'm thinking, look, I'm like hairstyle and costuming and oh my god.
I see. I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking
better as show.
I'm liking. Well, remember though that Battlestar Galactica had a lot of things that they kept analog on purpose. So we've gotten a lot of like really flashy, futuristic things, like when they bring out the screens and all the stuff, all the things that they didn't do on Battlestar Galactica, because remember they're using like handheld telephones and things that can't be hacked into by toasters.
You got to kind of look at it at the time too. Battlestar Galactica, God, was almost 10 years ago. Holy shit.
Up.
So it's got a ways to go to get to Galactica level because, I mean, we have Tom Jane, but we don't have an Edward James Olmos. There were so many great performances, Starbuck, Gatiss. I can't blank in on Gatiss. Gatiss. Well,
you did see him show up in the 100.
Baltar. Baltar. We don't have Baltar either. So there's I know Baltar. I miss my little sad face. But I don't know. The look in this show is it's got a lot of elements of Battlestar, Blade Runner, Total Recall as well. I see a lot of Total Recall, which is one of my favorite shows, which is that really lived in space station. Everything looks a couple hundred years old.
That might be a really good thing to pull out of the DVD vault.
Yes. Oh, Total Recall? Definitely. What was that little noise?
I don't know.
Oh, that was my other camera. Sorry. So that one's freezing up on us. But yeah, this show's got a lot of potential, and I've kind of read ahead in the books without telling you any spoilers. There is a lot of fun to come. There's a lot of really cool shit. This is just the beginning. Actually, the first season ended in the middle of the first book.
So we have a lot of story.
We have tons of story. We still have the rest of the first book. So they're doing 2 seasons per book, which is brilliant. And unlike George R.R. Martin, this guy cranks out a book every 2 years. This book series started in 2011, and he's up to his 5th book. So
let's keep watching.
Yeah.
Let's encourage your friends to keep watching so people don't think about canceling this.
Yeah.
You got to make sure anybody that loves sci-fi knows that they should be watching this show because it's really great.
Oh, and you got this.
And if we have that much story to look forward to, we've got a lot already plotted out there.
Oh, and there's some fun characters coming. I'll tell you, you've seen one, Roberta Bobby Drake, the giant Amazon Martian woman.
Who's really cute and tiny and Filipino.
Yeah, but she's in the book. She's like 6'5", 215 pounds.
And on the show, she's about 5'6".
She's about 5'6", but she doesn't like to be called Roberta, and she's a badass. She's kind of like she's Iron Man, Iron Woman. Her suit's kind of super powered, and there's really cool shit to come. So, yes.
I like a kick-ass girl.
Oh, we all do. Don't we?
All right.
All right. So we will be back next week. I don't know about Wednesday, maybe Thursday. We'll do these shows. Lovely Melissa works late on Wednesday, although I'd like to get it out right afterwards. And definitely go out and pick up the books too. Definitely read them. John Reed and my other co-host and I are big audio book fans. Narrator, not so good on the Expanse one, so that might be one to actually read. But
maybe I'll just read it to you.
Yeah, you can read it too. Ooh, that's even better. Bedtime stories, my favorite. Cool. So, hey, thanks for watching Do a Little Business here. All of our podcasts and videos can be found at nerdrotic.com. We have our own YouTube channel called the Nerdrotic Channel. Please like us and subscribe. We got about 82 videos on there right now. Lots of Melissa and I, and way back, we're 3 years old now, the nerdrotic.com. Dennis and I started this back in early 2014 and been having a great time. We have a Facebook page, which some of you might be watching us on, which is the Nerdrotic Podcast. Please like us, and please subscribe to us on iTunes. We have yet to find something that's good enough for Android. You can find some of our podcasts on Google Play, but please go to iTunes, just search Nerdrotic, subscribe to one of those podcasts, maybe leaving a review. I don't know.
And if Instagram is your social media of choice, I have taken over the Instagram, and I try and keep up with all these guys and all their podcasts and make sure that, we have updates on there when there's new things to watch.
What's up, Joe Borelli? What's up, man? You bald, sexy motherfucker.
Language.
Sorry. Didn't mean to call you bald. What's up, New York? Sorry, that threw me off a little bit there. We're going to sign off for now, and I definitely wanted to say one more thing, and I can't remember. We are doing 13 podcasts a week now, so it's getting a little crazy. We might tie that down a little bit, but our next podcast we do altogether is a premieres podcast where all of us pick a show each week to review and see if we want to continue doing podcasts on it or if it's complete crap. And we're all finding out that we have very, very different taste, mine being the best, but nobody can be perfect all the time. And that'll be our next podcast. We also have our regular podcast. Just go to nerdrotic.com. You can check them all out. So good night, everybody. Oh, shit. I didn't want to lose that. Where'd it go?
It's right there. Isn't that it?
No.